Hi, I'm Henry, an ex-BCG consultant and founder of the Consulting Axis, where our mission is to help you align your future in consulting. And in this video, we're going to be showing you how you can nail the tell me about yourself question. And this is such an important question because it's often the first question you get asked, and it's critical to make a good first impression. In particular, we're going to be telling you 3 things: the common mistakes and how to avoid them, the perfect structure to answering this question, and a live example, the exact answer I gave in my BCG case interviews. So starting off with the mistakes, the first mistake that you cannot make is lack of enthusiasm. If you show them that you aren't fully engaged, then they're not going to be engaged too. So for example, if you say your answer like this: hello, I'm Henry, I study maths. Even if what you go on to say is really interesting, they're just not going to engage in what you're saying and not remember you. And remember, there are thousands of people applying to consulting, so they really do need to remember you. So instead of that, use hand gestures and smile. So something like, hello, I'm Henry and I study maths. Something like that will make it far more engaging and they will remember you when it comes to choosing who they will select. Now, the second mistake is just listing facts. You cannot just list facts. You can't just say, hi, I'm Henry, I study maths, I play sport, I sometimes draw. That's not going to engage them and really tell the story and your personality. So for each of those things, you need to tell them a story of how that thing has impacted you. Now, we'll go on to storytelling in a second when we go onto the perfect structure, but just make sure you don't fall into the trap of just listing facts about yourself. That's not going to show your personality and how amazing you would be as a consultant. And the third mistake that you simply cannot make is just not having a structure. If you just ramble for a couple of minutes, then they're really not going to be impressed. Consultants love structure and love structured communication. So if you can tell your story in a very structured, concise way, then they'll already think you can act and think like a consultant and therefore be much more likely to hire you. So now we're going to show you how you can perfectly structure your answer to this question, and it's a really simple 3-step process, with the first step being the introduction. So this is where you introduce yourself, but professionally. So just say your name and what you're currently doing. So that could be what you're currently doing for work or what you're currently studying. So something like, hi, my name's Henry and I'm currently studying mathematics at the University of Warwick. So something simple and concise like that. You don't need to go into how many brothers or sisters you have, just keep it professional, but keep that enthusiasm like we spoke about. So the second part of your answer is where you talk about work experience and your hobbies. And this is by far the longest part of your answer, so you do need to make sure you get it right. So what you do here is tell them 2 to 3 impressive and interesting stories about your life. 1 or 2 about work experience that you've done, and then the others about your hobbies. So for example, don't just say, I like drawing and I like doing art. Tell them a story within that. So for example, let's say that you've done an art Instagram page. You could say something like, I really enjoy art and branding. And what I've done a couple of years ago, I set up an art Instagram page and now it's reached over 100,000 followers. Sometimes it was pretty hard to keep up the motivation to do it, but I love it so much. It was quite easy to do and I've really enjoyed building up an audience. So you can see there the difference. Rather than just saying you like art, tell them something interesting and impressive within what you've done with art. Now, a really helpful way of structuring your stories is to use the STAR structure. So the S stands for situation, so give them some context. What do they need to know to understand the story that you're going to tell them? The T stands for task, so what were you going to do? What was the task at hand? A is the action, so what action did you take to make the task a success? And finally, the R stands for result. So what was the result at the end of it? What was the impressive achievement that would impress your interviewer? And remember, like I said earlier, there are thousands of people applying to consulting, so impressing your interviewer and getting them to remember you is a really key part of the whole interview process. And the final step of our 3-step process is a quick summary. So this is where you really bring it all together and link it back to consulting and the company that you're applying to. So something like, I really believe all the experiences that I've had, both my work experience and my hobbies, really work for consulting and have really shaped me into potentially a really good consultant and at this company in particular. Now, before we get onto the live example, if you are finding this useful, then I'd really recommend checking out our website where we have lots of courses, some of which are free, which will really help you learn everything you need to know to get into some of the most competitive consulting firms like McKinsey, BCG and Bain, But without further ado, let's get on to the live example and what I actually said to this question in my BCG case interviews. Hi, I'm Henry. I'm a penultimate year student studying mathematics at the University of Warwick. Last summer, I interned at a tax and accounting firm in London, where they got me to do quite a mundane task, to be honest, where I essentially had to look through thousands of properties that had been sold and realise which fit certain criteria and which fit certain categories. Now, after this internship ended, what I did over the summer was I thought that this process could be quite easily automated. So I taught myself how to code, how to web scrape, and I wrote a Python script to automate essentially the job that I was doing. I then went back to the company and proposed it as something they could buy. They didn't end up buying it, but I thought this process was really fun and interesting and definitely showed me that I've got quite an entrepreneurial spirit. Outside of work, I really love playing badminton, to be honest. Actually, one of my most sort of happy achievements playing badminton was getting to the round of 16 at a nationwide university competition. Now, this did need a lot of resilience and determination. I was getting up 6 a.m, a lot of mornings to train, both in the gym and on court, which was a lot, and sometimes you do lose that motivation, but it definitely taught me that if you do have a goal and you do really want to get something, you do need to work hard to get it. Also at university, I was the first team captain for the badminton team, which taught me a lot of leadership qualities. So for example, something that I implemented a sort of tradition where every match I would bring a banana for each member of the team. Now I know it doesn't feel like much, but it became a bit of a joke in terms of has Henry brought the bananas for the team, and you could definitely see that build team morale. I know it's such a tiny thing, but actually me doing that made everyone else a bit happier and play better, which was really lovely to see. Now I do think from all the work experience that I've done and my hobbies and interests outside of work, I do think consulting really fits my personality and my skill set, and at BCG in particular. So I really hope you found that useful and got some good tips. If you did, please like, subscribe, etc. But for now, I wish you all the very best of luck with your consulting applications.